Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to my update 1.27 wish list. So if you've never been to one of my wish list videos, essentially it's not only a way for me to kind of keep track of GT7's kind of update progress and how things kind of change from update to update, but it's also kind of usually a way for me to be able to kind of get you guys involved. And I do kind of a community one after I've done my personal one. Now I don't think I'm actually going to have time for this update, however I will start that up again in the new year when we kind of go back to the usual update timings. Like I said, I've just been kind of, I guess, caught a bit off guard with this update. It's all come around very, very quick. I did kind of expect it, but look, it's that time of the year where a lot of us are kind of busy in our own life, so it's been a bit difficult to, get these ready and prepared, a little bit earlier than, when I kind of usually would. So, yeah, with all that being said, let's actually jump into my personal update 1.27 wish list. Now, we do actually have some progress in this one. Now, essentially, selling cars did come in the last update, so that's kind of something that I didn't really have to bark on about, being able to come to the game because, finally we got that promised feature. However, I am going to start at kind of my biggest criticism for GT7, and that actually being the events themselves. Now, that's not to say there's been quite a few events being added post-launch. Don't get me wrong, they've kind of added up to, quite a few events, to be honest, since, it's post-launch at like April time, whenever we got our first update, to now. If you kind of add up the events that we've got overall, there's been a decent amount of them. However, I do have a criticism for them. Now, my criticism is actually that they're kind of just one-time events, or should I say, most of them are. Don't get me wrong, we've had some very good events like Sardinia, Tokyo, Le Mans, even in the previous update when we kind of got Road Atlanta and got the 30 minutes event. I've been running that quite a bit just because I really enjoy it. But the majority of the events that have, come post-launch to this game have just not really been that memorable or really that repetitive, or I guess repeatable, should I say. They've not been kind of events that you'll just go back and do multiple times, apart from, the odd few, which isn't very good for the kind of longevity of this game. Now, myself and a lot of other players seem to agree there's a really easy way around this. To save them having to add events each update, bring the custom races in line with the event payout. So say if we ran a carbon copy of, say, Sardinia, we'd get that exact same payout, obviously with a clean race bonus and such. And this would really kind of help pad the game out for us and allow us to go a lot more customizable events than the likes of what Polyphony put in. A lot of the events are limited to certain performance points, certain kind of brands or certain types of cars. Give us those filters to be able to do them on our own and let us kind of, see events in a different light. If I want to do a custom one-off 24-hour event and, at the minute the pay's just not really there. The motivation to go and sit there for 24 hours and kind of grind a 24-hour race out over a few days is just not there because the pay is not in line with it. There's an easy way to solve that is, Polyphony just kind of, I guess update the pay rate for custom races. So if I run 24-hour, I'm expecting to at least get a few million for it. I'm not asking them to go over the top, but pay me according to kind of how your other events are kind of, put in place. The likes of Sardinia, scale it to those. This will really add longevity to the game. It will also kind of push away the need for Polyphony to be adding specific events in constantly, and they can kind of then maybe focus on doing things like seasonal events, which I will touch on in a minute. But I really think that is their best way around kind of, I guess sorting out the money, not necessarily the money problem because, the economy is pretty good, but sorting out the need to kind of put events in on their own constantly, just allow us that creative freedom. And I feel like it would actually take this game to the next level massively. So I did touch on this, but I honestly think seasonal events need to come back properly. Now, we kind of had that with the anniversary events. They are still running, I believe, until the start of January, which means, you've got a decent amount of time to do them. But just those two events themselves were actually massive amounts of fun. I really enjoyed them. I love the fact that they had the leaderboards in there. You know, Polyphony really need to get these seasonal events cracked on, even if it's just like kind of 4 or 5 for a month. Just let them kind of run down, you know, base them off of, you know, even past World Series events if you have to. I'm not really bothered, just kind of keep them coming because they were just really enjoyable. Yes, we only get the one-time payout, which, look, I'm fine with, but you know, the ability to be able to go and replay them and kind of beat your friends on a leaderboard is just massive amounts of fun. You know, the Pikes Peak one was really unique with the kind of nation liveried Suzuki Escudos. That was just absolutely crazy at Watkins Glen. The Spa one was great for kind of strategy and the randomized weather and not knowing what to expect, and you know, having that limited choice of, you know, proper manufacturer series cars was just, you know, absolutely a blast. I really enjoyed them, and it honestly gives, you know, gives Polyphony the idea that they really should be bringing these seasonal events in a lot more regular, even if we do just get the one-time payout. So if Polyphony weren't to kind of, I guess, mess around with the custom race payout or make it a lot more fairer and a lot more kind of, you know, diverting players towards that area of the game, because there is a lot of potential there, but I feel like it's untouched. Another thing I feel like they should really do, and it should be very, very easy for them to do, is add endurance races. Look, we were promised endurance races, and whilst we've kind of had a few, you know, we've had the 1 hour events, we've had the 30-minute at Le Mans, the 30-minute at Road Atlanta, you know, whilst they're all good, they're not really long enough for a proper endurance event. You know, I'm talking 4 to 8 hours of just straight hard grinding and racing. This game is honestly crying out for proper endurance races. You know, they've some of the most memorable moments from GT games of, you know, the past. You know, Gran Turismo 5, Gran Turismo 2, you know, they're kind of the standout games for kind of endurance events for me, where I really remember kind of, you know, slogging away for hours on end, just, you know, doing these endurance events, and they were really, really fun, and they were worth your time. You know, don't get me wrong, the pay was nothing kind of magnificent, but you know, you got your reward cards. It was just really overall kind of a great time, and just kind of, you know, figuring out your strategy, your tire life, going on for hours. Like, I even remember the I believe it was a Mazda MX-5 one, or the Roadster, whatever we're going to call it, where you did like 4 hours of Tsukuba. Absolutely incredible. It's just kind of strange how, you know, endurance races are very kind of left out in GT7, and I hope to see them kind of expanded on. Yeah, you know, the few that we do have are really, really expanded on to, you know, give us just more bolstered content, and you know, finally put to bed this kind of thing that Polyphony just don't really care about endurance races. You know, in my opinion, there's a massive difference between running kind of a 30-minute event and a 3-hour event. I feel like when you kind of, you know, start these 30-minute events, by the time you finally get into a rhythm, the event's pretty much, you know, over and done with before you know it. You know, the tyre wear and the tyre rate, don't get me wrong, is kind of, you know, put in there to bolster up how many pit stops you do and stuff, but it just doesn't really feel that natural. You know, even if it was just kind of 2 hours and we had to make a stop, say every 45 minutes for, you know, tyres, fuels and stuff, it would just be a much, much better, in my honest opinion. Endurance events are a must. And the last one, and this is something that again has kind of been ongoing with my wish list and hasn't really been answered yet, is a kind of, I guess, ability to be able to buy engine swaps and specific special parts. They all seem to have a kind of number and a price, you know, attached to them when you see them or get them in game. It's just kind of strange how we can't, say, go and buy the 787B engine for $1 million. You know, open that possibility up to a lot more engine swaps being used, and make them more accessible to everyone, because hiding them in the roulette system is just, in my honest opinion, not a good way to go about it. You know, that's a decent chunk of the game kind of missing. You know, one of the engine swaps I've always really wanted within this game is actually one that I just genuinely don't have, and that's the ability to put the Suzuki Escudo Pikes Peak in the Mitsubishi Evo 10. You know, whilst it might not be the most usable build or whatever, it's just a really cool engine swap in my opinion, and I just don't have access to it, which is just, you know, a bit of a shame, because I'd love to be able to do kind of builds and videos on specific engine swaps, but it's difficult difficult when you're relying on a roulette system to basically hand you the engine out, and if it doesn't, then who knows, you might never ever see it in your kind of entirety of playing through, you know, Gran Turismo 7. So definitely, you know, Polyphony, look into kind of, you know, making those engine swaps and special parts, you know, these level 5 parts or whatever you want to call them, more accessible to, well, everybody, you know, not just certain players that, you know, might get lucky on a roulette ticket, or, you know, on a roulette spin for doing a daily kind of marathon or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, so in my opinion, they are my things that I'd love to see, you know, from 1.27. And again, like I said, I would do a community one on this one, but sadly, you know, I just really haven't, I just don't think I'll be able to kind of squeeze one in. You know, I will still take your comments. That is one thing I do ask, is, you know, let me know what you want to see from GT7. If I do get time before the update drops, I will go ahead and do a community one. It might be a bit rushed and stuff, but that kind of just is what it is. I do desperately want to get one out, but again, like I said, it's kind of time limited. So do let me know exactly what you want from GT7. If I do get time, I will pick all the kind of top comments and the kind of most thumbed up comments. So yeah, please be sure to leave your kind of opinions on what you want from GT7 in the comments down below. That's going to be it from me today. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Take care, guys. Peace.